Hey everyone, and welcome back to this FIFA 15 Super League with Manchester United, who have since been knocked off the top spot by none other than the Spanish giants Real Madrid. They are top by 3 points. They had a game in hand the week previous to that fixture that Manchester United played at Old Trafford against FC Porto, which you can see in the previous episode where we absolutely battered them 6-1. But we could put things right in our next game, as United would be playing Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu. Immense feels all around this place. It proved to be the biggest game so far this season for United towards our season. We could get level on points with them again and really make our intentions known that we want to be winning that title come the end of the season. As you also saw in the previous episode, I did change the team around a lot for that game against FC Porto, which meant that Di Maria was out, Rooney was out, I had Depay out, that everyone was out getting match fit for this game because there was only a difference of a day between both games. So I had to make sure my best players were ready and able for this game against Real Madrid. We needed to win this, if anything. We couldn't afford to lose. A draw would probably be acceptable, but obviously, being Manchester United, a win is always a must. Now, as I was sat there waiting for the team sheets to roll out, as you do on FIFA, I had to take a double look at Real Madrid's starting lineup because the manager decided to leave out Ramos, Aguero, Cruz, Bale, Ronaldo. They were all starting on the bench for this game. What the hell? I did actually have to take a double look. I couldn't believe what was happening. I couldn't believe our luck, as I thought, we could take the game by the horns here and really go for it against Madrid. But we were trailing with just 2 minutes gone of the game. We were losing 1-0 to Real Madrid, and I thought, yep, this is how the game is going to go. David De Gea, who's been sensational for the majority of the first half of this season, was just poor in that moment there as Modric slid the ball past him. It was simple. He could have saved that. It did make me pretty angry seeing that replay. But, if there was a goal to be scored, which there was, at least it was scored within the first couple of minutes. At least it was giving us enough time to at least get back in this game. So I wasn't really worried at that point, but Real Madrid almost made it 2-0 if it wasn't for De Gea. It's like he chooses when he wants to pull off some amazing saves. De Gea, Jesse could have easily have made it 2 there. It was destined for the back of the net. Hernandez, Manchester United plays on loan at Madrid at this point as well, had an opportunity on goal. Too many bodies in the area. It was an absolute scramble to get it away, and we were almost piling under the pressure from Real Madrid. I was lining up a shot here with Ander Herrera, but Arbeloa comes in with a last-ditch challenge. The ball falling to the feet of Michael Carrick, and I just thought, I'm going to have to go for it here. I've got no other option but to, and it was straight at Casillas. And it was a simple save, keeping the game at 1-0. I've been victim of this way Real Madrid play on FIFA in past career modes. They just score one goal and then for some reason they just go and shut up shop. I mean, they had their fair few chances in that first half. I was sure that Chamberlain had made it 2-0. That chance of his, the ball just whipping past the post, thankfully, as he went out for a goal kick. And we did go in at half-time, trailing the game 1-0. But this has happened to me many times where I've been trailing, and in the second half we managed to turn it around, and I was hoping that was going to be the case again, and I was hoping that was going to be the case in this game against Madrid. Michael Carrick pushing forwards, could see Ander Herrera peeling away from his marker, managed to get his shot away as well on his left foot, not his best, but it was very effective. The keeper having to pull off a good stop there, having to go down low to put an end to it. Up the other end, Hernandez almost made it 2-0 to Real Madrid. Again, it's the same sort of situation with Paul Pogba and Tevez and ever in that Juventus game in the previous episode, just going all out, trying their utmost best to score against their former side. I know Hernandez was on loan at this point. We almost got an equaliser there from Depay, who struck the ball on his left foot. The ball taking a massive deflection. I thought he was dipping into the back of the net as Casillas was route to the spot, but it just wasn't to be. It's so frustrating, and when the dust had finally settled, when it was all said and done and the referee had blown the whistle for the final time, it was Madrid walking out as winners and 3 points to add to the league table. Madrid were poor in that second half. They only managed to get one shot away. I mean, the majority of shots on target came in the first half whereas in the second they just decided to shut up shop and defend that 1-0 lead they had over Manchester United, and it just speaks volumes that their goalkeeper received the Man of the Match award. I expected so much more from Real Madrid. Why didn't they start their best players for that game? Why did they start on the bench? Disappointed. Now our next game we will be playing against Dortmund, the first game of the new year, the 1st of January 2015, and it would be away this time because the previous fixture we battered them 4-1 at Old Trafford. It wasn't too long ago either, so I was hoping for a repeat performance for this game, but it would be increasingly difficult to try and replicate a 4-1 win against Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park. And losing against Madrid just a couple of days ago wasn't really going to help our case against the Dortmund side that were keen to start climbing up the table as we head into the second half now of this season. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, that Madrid United game was definitely seen as a 6-pointer. Yes, I know only 3 points were awarded that day for Real Madrid, but it was because of how big the game actually was, how vital it was towards Madrid in actually going all the way and winning the title for this Super League season. And yes, they do have a 6-point lead now, and it's such an advantage to have for Real Madrid. Because of how many amazing teams there are in this season, it's just going to be increasingly difficult for Manchester United to try and string together some wins now, I think, and to try and knock Madrid off that perch. Unless, of course, something disastrous happens in the Real Madrid camp, maybe one of their best players gets injured, or if they continue playing that team that they fielded against United in our previous fixture, maybe that team will just start losing here and there. Fingers crossed that happens. I think we've got to play them again. I don't think we've played them twice yet, which means we've got to play them at Old Trafford, which I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we could get our way in that fixture towards the end of the season. Now this fixture against Dortmund, we were looking decent with just over 15 minutes or just under 50 minutes gone of the game. And then things started to slip. I mean, Depay coming very close with that header of his. Great delivery from Angel Di Maria, who switched onto his left foot, who's absolutely deadly when he does that. Depay, though, just didn't connect with the ball properly, as it just glanced off his head and just went wide. I mean, we had Weidenfeller beat, but we didn't have the post beat as it went the other side. And look at Marco Reus, he was destroying us, just making his way through our back four. You could see how desperate I was to just clear the ball, get out of the penalty area. I don't want to see it anywhere near David De Gea, because I just had that feeling whatever Dortmund tried to do, they were going to score given a chance. And Michael Carrick winning the ball back here. It's very rare that you see him so far forwards. And Rooney, unfortunately, was just offside, as he would have been through on goal. He did strike it first time, but I think maybe if that thought of him being offside wasn't looming over me, maybe I would have took my time with that opportunity. Maybe I would have looked to have chipped Weidenfeller, who was coming out to meet Rooney, and it would have been the perfect goal. But it wasn't to be. In the second half, it was still 0-0, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to introduce Gundogan, former Dortmund player, see if he can add something to the game, an extra dimension. It was definitely needed. I mean, there was a goal needed in this game. Sometimes you get games where it's 0-0 and you're like, no, fair enough, you know, it should have stayed 0-0, but this game desperately needed a goal. And Fellaini was the one desperate to get it for Manchester United, as he just carried on pursuing the ball even though there were so many Dortmund players there. But Hummels sticking his foot out at the right time. Look at that, how close it was. If he hadn't have done that, it certainly would have been on target there from Fellaini, putting Weidenfeller under a lot of pressure. Maybe Fellaini would have made it 1-0. We'll never know. Just past the hour mark, Sahin found Marco Reus, who whipped in the ball, keeping it in. I thought it went out for a goal kick the way the ball bent round, but they kept it in somehow. And it was a good effective header from Immobile, putting De Gea under pressure to make him work for that clean sheet. And he just managed to tip it over and collect it in the end, putting a stop to Dortmund's attack. But they didn't stop there. They kept coming, and they did eventually find a way through, making it 1-0 with 85 minutes gone of this game. I don't know, at the time playing this I was definitely calling bullshit whether there was some scripting going on with that, because it just felt as though Dortmund were going for that final last ditch attempt and they found a way through. And I just thought it was a bit weird how the ball found its way in, how Gundogan didn't pull his finger out, how he didn't even get a touch on the ball with his head. He was right there. How on earth did they make it 1-0? And then Ramos almost made it 2-0. That just would have been adding insult to injury. And it certainly would have been a case of throwing the controller against the wall if it had have gone in. Schmelzer was taking the ball to the corner, and he looked to cross the ball in. He didn't mess around with it like the computer tends to do. And there's me. What was I thinking? Passing the ball like that. Dortmund were pressing so much, and I just go and mess up my pass from De Gea, looking for Phil Jones. And it's Royce that gets on the end of it, finds Ramos with the sweaty cross. And it was 2-0, final score. What was happening? Complete meltdown for Manchester United. 2 games we've lost in a row, and this not looking very good. I mean, what was Di Maria celebrating for? That we just dropped 3 points? Fool! But anyway, it's not looking too good at the moment, because Real Madrid will certainly be looking to win their next game, with the thought of United dropping another set of 3 points here against Dortmund. That's all from me then, folks. Thanks for watching.